Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call the Senate of Virginia's Local Government Committee to order. Please take your seats. You too, Marsden. Moving slow today.
At the right hand.
Of Ralph Smith's replacement. All right, we have a couple bit of housekeeping items. So first, I'm going to call the roll.
You have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
That's some of the best attendance we've ever had. Right off the bat. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a couple housekeeping items. First is I'd like to have the pages step up to the podium and introduce themselves. This comes at a request of a parent. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Senator.
And what's your name?
Alexandra Walker,
Alexandra Walker. And where are you from?
Richmond City.
And whose page are you? What district?
Senator McClellan.
Senator McClellan. Well, welcome. Are you having a good time?
Yes, sir.
Learning a lot?
Yes, sir.
Not had any infractions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you've had some infractions.
No, sir.
Oh. Because if you had, I was going to give you my card because I am a lawyer. All right, well, welcome, and thank you for being our page in today's hearing. All right, yes, ma'am, step up to the podium. Please say your name and spell your last name slowly.
Mara Serval.
What? Who?
Mara Serval.
Oh.
Yeah.
Spell it. Can you spell it?
Probably.
Well, she's
going to be a lawyer.
the apple has not fallen far from the tree, I see. Well, welcome. And where do you go to school?
Go to Carl Sandburg Middle School,
Okay. And what district are you in?
District number 36.
Who's your senator?
Scott Serval.
That's shocking. Well,
Oh, the wrong survey.
well, welcome. And I didn't ask what school you go to. What school do you go to?
Oh, I go to St. Catherine's.
Okay. Well, welcome, guys. Thank you for being our pages. We certainly appreciate it. If anybody needs anything or have them run to do something, please make them look and be useful, okay? Are you having a good time, Serval?
Yes, sir.
Have you gotten any infractions?
No, sir.
You're a Serval. The chances are high that might happen. All right. Well, if you need a lawyer, you know who to call. Your dad. All right. Thank you, guys. All right. Second order of business is we're going to, we've had some merciful killings of bills here. People have asked to have their bills stricken. First one is Senate Bill 1155, which would be Senator Black's bill. Screening of trash receptacles, local options. I hate to see that one go. All right, it's up on the board. Do I have a motion to strike the bill? Strike. Motion being properly made and supported. Is there any discussion on screening of trash cans and why it shouldn't be stricken? Hearing none, clerk, open the roll. And close the roll.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
8 ayes, 0 nays. And that matter, Senate Bill 1155, is stricken from the docket. Second bit of housekeeping is a request by our new senator, Senator Boysko, Senate Bill 1635, screening of trash receptacles, local option. I think there's a conspiracy here. She has asked that bill be stricken. I wonder what happened. Do I have a motion to strike? Oh, wait. Senator Boysko, can you approach the podium real quick? She's a rookie. Can you give us any insight on why we'd strike these great bills of screening our trash cans?
There was significant opposition and...
What?
Yeah.
And
the locality had asked us to carry the bill. They finally agreed that perhaps this was not the year to ask for such a terrible lift. So we're striking it.
well, we're very upset and disappointed. This was one of those bills that we were all licking our chops
I
to
know.
start arguing and debating.
know.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Well-
really controversial.
Yes, it is. At the request of the patron, she has made to strike it. We have a motion supported by a second. Any discussion? So, ladies and gentlemen, when we strike this bill, you can leave your trash cans out where people can see them. Let freedom ring. All right, open the roll.
Next time you introduce the pages,
8 ayes, 0 nays.
8 ayes, 0 opposition.
Thank
That
you,
bill is
Mr.
stricken.
Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Boysko. Okay, There's one more bill that we need to take up, which is Senator Locke's Senate Bill 1089. And I see former Delegate Glenn Oder is here. Welcome, sir. We're going to give you a free trip to the Finance Committee.
Oh, boy.
So you don't even have to argue, Bill, today, which means we're going to pass you out. So I'm going to ask that we report and re-refer to Finance. There's a motion to report, or no, is there a motion to report? Second. Motion and a second, properly supported. Any discussion on reporting this bill out and re-referring to Finance? Hearing none, clerk, open the roll. Congratulations, Delegate. You're over here before crossover, and you got something passed out immediately and unanimously. There you go. It's good to see you, sir.
Sir, Senator,
Yes.
do you also have Senate Bill 1131?
Yes. And that, the best I can see, will stay here, so you'll have a little bit of work to do there.
All right.
It's going to stay here,
Okay.
this one. Yes. All right, let's go through Senator Obenshain. Senator Obenshain is first up.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I've got a charter bill for the town of Luray. The town of Luray has a 90-year-old charter with many obsolete provisions, including provisions allowing for secret meetings and two-thirds votes, and giving the mayor and council authority to terminate positions that they shouldn't and don't have authority to terminate. This is an update and modernization of their charter, and I believe that we have submitted the appropriate resolutions, and the provisions of this charter are consistent with those that are passing out with regularity.
All right, what a wonderful explanation of this bill.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just have
Senator
a question
Donovan.
for the patron. I'm just wondering how Luray manages their mulch.
They have freedom to mulch in Luray.
Very good.
As is the case in 95% of the rest of my district, Senator McPike.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Amen, brother.
Mr. Chairman, I think the question itself violated all the rules of the Senate based on what we adopted for 2019, does it not?
Senator McPike, you're out of order.
I already feel burned.
All right, is there anybody from Luray who would like to speak in support of this measure?
They're all in the caverns.
They're in the caverns. Is there anyone who'd like to speak against this measure? Seeing none, we work on motion here. We operate by motion. Motion to report has been made, properly supported by a second. Is there any discussion? Not mulch
Not
discussion.
mulch.
All right, clerk, open the roll. Close the roll.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
8 ayes, 0 nays. Your bill reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Obenshain. Next is Senator McDougal. Ryan McDougal, please come to the podium. Oh, there he is. Hello, Senator McDougal.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't know if you got to collect $200 on your passage straight to Finance Committee, or if you...
We do. We actually try to, and I'm always the hat. I believe this is your first time before us. Is that not correct?
It's my dubious pleasure to not grace this committee with untoward number of bills, but for one of our
And Senator
great...
McDougal, you're my seatmate, isn't that correct?
Sometimes.
And Senator McDougal, you vote against my bills a lot, don't you?
Mr. Chairman, I would advise you that your adult supervision is not here today, but we can quickly call and have them return for another visit to the gallery.
Oh, sure. Use my wife against me. That's great. All right. Present your bill, sir.
Mr. Chairman, town of Irvington is in the original tobacco-producing region of the Commonwealth of Virginia, one that is not subject to receiving Tobacco Commission resources at this point. But, Mr. Chairman, they are trying to update the bounds of the town and to make sure that the timing after elections are clear and precise. I don't think there's anything really extraordinary about the resolution. It does go forward, you can see in the first portion, to make clear where the town boundaries are, and then in the second portion, make clear when the mayor and board members are elected. And the commission did bring this, the town did bring this before for public vote and discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Senator.
I just have a question.
Senator Favola.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, maybe for the patron or the staff, but it's common, I guess, that the second Tuesday in May would be the election for towns?
Mr. Chairman, yes.
Is that already somewhere in statute, or it's just the chart? Oh,
Mr. Chairman, yes, and it might
Okay.
also be a good idea for us to consider primaries instead of June.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Marsden.
But that's not in my bill.
no, it's not.
Senator McDougal, just out of curiosity, when you do these boundary changes, is that coordinated with the county? I guess that would be Lancaster.
It is Lancaster County, Mr. Chairman, and this was
Where
a
my son lives.
request, and as far as I'm aware, anybody from Irvington here? According to what we were told, everybody was on the same page.
Okay.
But I did not go out and do a meets and bounds assessment to ensure that it's the correct streets.
Senator Marsden? You done? Anyone else have questions of the patron?
Mr. Chairman, point of clarity, he's trying to rename highways. Does this need to go to transportation? There seems to be a really, listing Highway 200 an awful lot in here.
That is renumbered as, and that's line 16 and 17. You're changing Virginia State Highway number 3 into Virginia State Highway 200?
Mr. Chairman, they run together for a portion, and Senator Carrico says he doesn't want any more bills.
And why have we gone from 3 to 200 then?
Mr. Chairman, there's a stretch of road that goes through that's kind of bypasses around. If you're familiar with the area, you can come across the R. Norris Bridge. Some of you might have heard about that on your way up into Lancaster. And you go through Whitestone, and then you can either take a left and go through Irvington on the way to Kilmarnock, or you can go straight to Kilmarnock. And it has always, different people sometimes call it different road numbers depending on which path you travel. It's almost like a bypass going one way, but they don't call it that.
Does the number 3 and his or her family members know that you're renaming the road after another number?
Mr. Chairman, I heard some good advice, legal advice on the floor today, and I don't have to answer all questions from the government.
That is good legal advice. Are there any other questions of the patron?
Move the report.
So I'm receiving word from council that perhaps your bill is not in perfect shape. Do you want to pass it by for a year and try again? What, Dave, do you want to? Or Jeff?
Mr. Chairman, I apologize to the patron for not catching this earlier, but on lines 52 and 56, it actually should be on the first Tuesday in May. Municipal elections are on the first Tuesday, not.
I withdraw my motion, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so we have a line amendment. Do you understand? Is that a
So
friendly
moved.
amendment,
It
Senator
is,
McDougal?
Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I think the drafter was able to catch the error before it got too far afield.
Sounds like it to me, too. So I've got a motion on the amendment to adopt the amendment. Is there a second? Motion being made, properly supported. Is there any discussion on that amendment? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. And the amendment is made. Okay. Now I think, do we have it in perfect form now? Is there anyone who would like to speak for or against this bill? Somebody wants to leave it as the second Tuesday in May where we have these elections. Hearing none, we operate by motion.
Move the report as amended.
Motion being properly made and supported by a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, open the roll. Oh,
9 ayes, 1 nay.
9 ayes, 1 nay. The bill reports, but you will have to talk about it on the Senate floor.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be ecstatic to talk about this one and to review my seatmates' legislation very closely as we move forward.
Just trying to catch up to your no votes on my bills, my man.
You won't be able to. Good effort.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Edwards. And I want everybody to take that as a warning of what will happen if you vote against my legislation, and he's my best friend. All right, Senator Edwards here. I see no Senator Edwards. Senator Locke. That has been transferred. No, she has a second bill. Senator Locke here? Okay. Senator Dance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I have a few charter bills. The first one comes from the city of Hopewell. The request of their city council.
What number?
This would be 1191.
1191, ladies and gentlemen.
And again, this bill comes from the city of Hopewell. This bill would amend Section 4 of Chapter 4 of the city's charter to clarify the process by which the city council appoints its officers and members of boards and commissions. Section 4 of Chapter 4 of the Hopewell chapter is entitled Election and Terms of President, ex officio, mayor, vice president, ex officio, vice mayor, and members of boards and commissions. That title treats mayors and vice mayors the same as members of boards and commissions, as each are appointed upon a roll call majority vote of city council. Some have confused the city council's process of appointing mayors, vice mayors, and board and commission members with the process of popular elections, similar to what is done in Richmond. When mayors are elected by popular vote, in Virginia Freedom of Information Act holds that the city council must hold an open discussion on all potential appointees. However, since the word elections mentioned in Hopewell's charter and in the Code of Virginia, Title 15.2, Counties, Cities, and Towns, refers to the appointment process used by Hopewell and every other Virginia city, county, and town, the city council should be able to discuss and consider all potential appointees in a closed meeting. They've asked just to have the simple term changed from election to appointment, that they feel that would better represent how they elect their mayor and vice mayor. It came after they had their public hearing, and the majority of the membership was in agreement with this.
Okay. Senator Dance, does anybody have a question for Senator Dance? Anybody here to speak in favor of the bill? Anybody here to speak in opposition to the bill?
I have representatives from the city if you need them to speak, and of course, they'd be speaking in favor of this.
Are they
bill.
here?
Yes, I have the,
They're shy. Oh, there we
I
go.
have the.
Step up, sir.
City man, the.
We hardly ever have witnesses on Charter Day.
And I have a former member of city council who came because he was one of the people voting for it at the time. But
Has Senator Dance acquitted you appropriately in terms of what you guys are trying to accomplish?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. First, let me say, my name is Herbert Bragg,
Yes,
Director of Intergovernmental and Public Affairs and Legislative Liaison for the City of Hopewell. I bring you greetings on behalf of Mayor Jasmine Gore and Vice Mayor Patient Bennett and members of City Council.
And
I
please
certainly
tell
want to-
them the same from us as well.
And I certainly want to
Isn't this
thank-
where we exchange some kind of peace offering where we say?
Yes, sir. And yes, sir, and I certainly want to thank Senator Dance for introducing this legislation on behalf of the City of Hopewell. It is, and she enunciated exactly what we wanted to do.
So she's your senator?
Yes.
She's a great one.
Yes.
So you can use that in any advertisement that you want, Ross. All right. So thank you, sir. Thank you for
My
being here
pleasure.
today. We really appreciate you coming up and especially working so hard for your locality. We know what it takes, and so we're very appreciative of your hard work.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of the bill or against the bill? Hearing none.
Mr. Chairman, I move to report the bill.
Motion being made to report the bill, properly supported by a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. Clerk, open the roll.
Ten ayes, 0 nays.
10. We've gained somebody. All right. 10 ayes, 0 nays. The bill reports. Congratulations.
thank you, Mr. Chair. And now I have Senate Bill 1192, and this is on behalf of the city of Richmond.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Chairman, actually, this charter bill has had some work done on it, and currently in consultation with the city and the representatives of home builders and realtors who are sympathetic to what Richmond was trying to do by this charter change, they reached a pledged agreement that they think would be amicable and would serve them not having to bring this charter forward. So they, by agreement on their behalf, I ask that we strike this bill, Senate Bill 1192.
Motion to strike being properly made and supported by a second. Is there any discussion on that? And you're telling us that the stakeholders have all agreed that they're going to work together to make sure that Richmond endeavors to provide more affordable housing to where this
Yes.
is unnecessary?
They says it's unnecessary that they could work this out amicably again.
And Senator Dance, is it made clear and plain to both of them, as we did in the proffer party, that if they do not work this out, that we expect you to come back the very next year and to bring this to our attention
They
again?
do understand that.
Okay, very good. Motion and second properly supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, clerk open the roll. I would have voted for that.
11 ayes, 0 nays.
11. Wow, we're almost to full strength. We keep going up by one every time. 11 ayes, 0 nays. The bill is stricken from the record, and I wish you great luck in that because I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now, Senate Bill 1193 from the city of Richmond.
Ladies and gentlemen, Senate Bill 1193.
And, Mr. Chairman, there should be an amendment in nature of a substitute.
All right, we'll have that. We'll have the pages pass that out. And while the page is passing out the amendment and the nature of the substitute, before we get in form and let's put it in everybody's hands, can you tell us what the amendment and the
Yes,
nature of the
and
substitute
this
does?
is what I'm going to have the registrar, and she's here, to come because, come right on up and tell them exactly what the amendment will do.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Good afternoon. I'm Kirk Showalter, the General Registrar for the City of Richmond. The purpose of the bill is runoff elections for mayor in the city charter do not specify deadlines for voter registration and absentee ballots. So far, we have not yet experienced a runoff election, so it's not been a problem, but this would set those deadlines. The original language for absentee balloting references the deadlines for the preceding November election, which may create some confusion and not make it clear that the runoff absentee balloting deadlines are their own standalone deadlines. So it simply applies the deadlines for general elections to the runoff election.
Is there any questions of the patron or the witness brought forth? Seeing none, first we need to get the bill in proper form. Do I have a motion to accept the amendment in the nature of a substitute?
So moved.
Motion being made, properly supported by a second. Is there any discussion about that? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. 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 All opposed, same sign. And the amendment in the nature of the substitute is properly before us. Senator Dance, is there anything else you'd like to say about your bill?
I think the registrar has said it. It's a simple bill. This is something that, of course, if they've met all the requirements as far as public hearing and agreement by council.
Motion being made to report. Well, is there anyone against this bill? Perhaps that's the best way. Seeing none, then there's a motion made to report the bill as amended or in the nature of a substitute. Is there a second?
Second.
Second being properly supported. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor? Well, let's open the roll.
Eleven ayes, 0 nays.
11 ayes, 0 nays. The bill reports. Senator Dance, you're on a roll.
Thank you.
We should just call this the local government dance party.
I don't know. I can't get too happy because I
Come on now.
got an ending to this one.
Did I
Okay.
remind you that Dave Barry is a swing dancer? His videos are available on YouTube. He's a very good dancer. Dave, stand up so everybody sees you. Come on, Dave. You want to do a dance move if you don't stand up? That's Dave Barry, our dancer, professional dancer right there. Everybody put your hands together for Dave Barry. Senator Dance, Dave Dance. There you go.
Okay.
All right, next
And this
bill.
one is Senate Bill 1193, again representing the city of Richmond. Senate 1193 comes at the request of the
Wait,
city.
this is 1194.
I'm sorry. Yeah, 1194.
We just passed your
Yeah,
1193.
it's past my time. Okay. The City of Richmond convened an ethics reform task force to make informed recommendations on how to increase the level of accountability, public confidence, and public trust in the City of Richmond. Concerns regarding actual and perceived conflicts of interest were among the primary reasons for the task force's formation in 2017, and the task force undertook as one of its first areas of inquiry to understand when and how such conflicts arise and the nature and scope of the impact such conflicts can have on public relations. The revolving door provisions of Virginia Code address concerns regarding the undue influence an individual previously employed by the local government can have. And so what they've elected to do is to fall in alignment with what is being done in Bedford, Fauquier, James City, Pennsylvania, Stafford, and cities of Charlottesville and Virginia Beach, that says that you must wait a year before that you can actually lobby government.
Okay.
And that's what they're asking for.
Okay. Seems like a good reform bill, a nice ethics bill. Is there anyone who has questions of the patron? Seeing none, is there anyone here who would like to speak in support of the bill? Anyone who would like to speak in opposition of the bill? Is there anyone who would like to see Dave Barry dance? No? All right. We operate by I'm trying to make this more exciting, guys. It's Charter Day, okay? Thanks, I appreciate that. Servel's listening because his daughter's a page, and he wants to look like he's doing something. All right. We operate by motion.
Move to report.
Second.
Motion report being made, properly supported by a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, clerk open the roll.
Twelve ayes, 0 nays.
It's going up and up and up. 12 ayes, 0 nays, Senate Bill 1194 reports. Senator Morrison just told me that this committee puts the pro in pro forma. So there you
Okay.
go. Think about that for a while.
Well, this one stops the dance right now. This one is Senate Bill 1363. It's gonna
Senate Bill
take-
1363.
This one has some difficult moves, but we're going to get through it. This bill comes at the request of the city of Petersburg. It proposes to amend the Petersburg's local charter to provide that the city manager for the city of Petersburg serve as a city collector of taxes and transfer certain duties from the treasurer. The intent of this bill is to consolidate the core financial functions of the city under the city manager. The proposed bill will remove the treasurer from the reconciliation process and allow the finance department through billing and collections to receive all local funds, but the treasurer would remain responsible for receiving state funds. Transferring the treasurer functions as laid out by Senate Bill 1363 is essential to the stability of Petersburg finances as the city tries to correct the financial challenges that they have experienced in the past. Also in attendance are officials from the city of Petersburg to elaborate if there is a need. I have the mayor of the city, I have their chief financial officer, I have one of their deputy city managers, and I will tell you that this one is a charter that last year, when they were considering this, I asked if they would breathe and give it a year to see if they truly wanted to do this. After a year, the second public hearing, and this time a super majority of the seated council members decided that this was needed. You know that this is a city, I think we all have heard about the financial problems that we've had and the ways, the means of bringing an outside consultant, support from the governor's administration, both money committees to try to right it. And they're in a better place now. There are still issues to be addressed. And we'll address as much as we need to, but I will say to you that there is, understand, a request for amendments that come from two interest groups that are not part of the administrative structure of the city of Petersburg that was a part of this. They are their local elected officials that bring this forward as their charter request, and they are not open to receive friendly amendments because this came out of work with input from the community and from the seated members of City Council. The mayor is here as a representative, so is the city manager and the chief
What about
of
the treasurer?
finance, but
Is the treasurer here?
the treasurer is in the room as well. All right, so I'm earlier. So it is not their intent to
Senator
amend
Dan-
this, but to present this charter request as presented.
Senator Dance, you would agree that what you're doing is taking a constitutional office, an officer, and changing its duties by way of legislation.
Yes, and this is something that is not new. It has been done in the city of Richmond, and also that we know close within our region in the city of Colonia Heights.
And,
It
and
is based on the fact that this is a constitutional office position, but in today's time, this is a fiscally responsible position that you must have the skills, knowledge, and abilities to do the job. Petersburg has been in a position where their former treasurer is now being under prosecution for not getting it right. They have gone from a property that's underwater to a property that is now considered, they're no longer drowning. They've gotten better ratings from Standards and Poor's, but there are intimate problems that still exist, and they cannot correct itself. There's no reflection on the person. It's just a reflection on the duties of the job and what it takes to get it done.
Senator Nance, my understanding, though, based on the reports that I read, that Petersburg's main problem was with billing and collection, setting up bills on time, collecting. There were incorrect bills that weren't sent to the person on time, things that became stale or in default, and that was from billings and collections, right? It wasn't from the treasurer's office, correct?
Actually, I will let them, I have the chief financial officer. I will not attempt to give you the rationale, but I will tell you that at this existing point, in order to get, there is such a thing as reconciliation. There is such a thing as your bank account doesn't, if your bank account does not reflect what you really have, then you cannot give people credit for whatever they collected. So then we could get billed. I will not try to do that. I will let the chief financial officer, the mayor, come and answer any of those
Please.
technical questions that you have.
Welcome,
Mr.
Mayor.
Chairman,
Yes.
before he
Senator Carrico.
speaks. So I'm a little bit confused. In the city of Galax, when I was a young delegate, they had went down this road approaching, basically taking away the treasurer and put it in the hands of a city financial officer. It was my understanding that we had to do a referendum for the people to vote to do away with that constitutional position before we could actually do that. So
If that was a part of your charter, sir.
it was a constitutional position, and it had to be a referendum for the people to vote on for that to be removed.
Is that?
Legal counsel.
Mr. Chairman, in this case, the constitutional officer is not actually being abolished. It's just having certain duties removed from it.
Okay, all right.
But the senator is correct. In order to abolish it, you would have to have a referendum.
Okay, thanks.
Any further questions of the patron? Senator DeStefs, sir. Your voice is so different, I didn't recognize you.
Thank you so very much. Is
No problem.
Mr. Pritchard here?
Yes.
Okay. And we're going to give him a chance to speak on this against it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any further questions of the patron from the panel?
I have the mayor and the chief financial officer. I will have them wait until you might have questions for them, but they want to hear from the treasurer.
Well, why don't we hear from the mayor and the chief financial officer and why they think, right now we're talking about why you believe this bill is necessary and for the legislature to take this and make this change on your behalf and how it's going to make Petersburg a better place.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Local Government Committee, I'm Michael Rogers, Chief Financial Officer, Chief Operating Officer for the City of Petersburg.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. This bill was introduced out of necessity, out of our current situation in Petersburg. This is not a bill to abolish a constitutional officer. It is a bill for reassignment of certain critical financial tasks from a constitutional officer to the administration. Why is this necessary? And let me add, I joined the City of Petersburg in April, in the last quarter of the year, after a long history that you know of the city trying to get its financial house in order, and I'm part of that initiative. When I arrived, I started to look into what was necessary to get things back on track. One of the appalling things that I saw was that there had been months in which the reconciliation of books had not been done by the office of the treasurer. There's a background to that, And I understand it, but the fact is, it was not done. Reconciliation was not done from November through June. And it took extraordinary efforts for the finance office to work with the treasurer's office and provide additional resources to help them reconcile the books. It has this kind of effect. If the books are not reconciled, when I'm given a financial report to the council, all of the information is not there. One of the experiences in May is that the May financial report showed a huge gap in revenues against budget. And of course, my elected officials were a bit anxious about that. Tried to assure them that that was not the whole picture. We knew that because we had to do workarounds to understand what payments were still hung up in the system and had not been reconciled. The books are not reconciled, it does not flow through to the general ledger, and it gives an incorrect picture. This amendment, we see, is essential to the continued financial restructuring and health of the city of Petersburg. We work with the treasurer, we have been collaborative, we have provided over $100,000 in consulting support to do the work that was not done by the treasurer's office. So we are asking that these duties be reassigned so we can consolidate the core financial functions in the city of Petersburg.
Sir, let me ask you this. What, if you're going to reassign all these duties out and basically outsource them, what's left for the treasurer to do?
I have a matrix of duties that still takes the treasurer's responsibilities. We're focusing on local revenue. The state will still be responsible receiving state revenue, will be still responsible for making certain financial reports.
So just remitting state fees to the state is what he's going to be doing?
Yes, and receiving the revenue and reporting it to the city.
Mr. Chairman.
Whoa, hey, this is lighting up. Hold on. Let's start, we always go ladies first. Senator Favola. Senator Favola.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Maybe this is a question for council. Don't we also have to change whatever statutory language would be governing treasurers, across the Commonwealth? Do we have to do a carve-out in that language for? See what I mean?
I guess what she's saying is, aren't those duties delineated in the code somewhere? And then, therefore, if we're changing those duties within one city.
That's my question. Wouldn't I have to do a carve-out in another place?
Wouldn't they be in conflict with what the duties of the treasurer are already found in other parts of the code?
Mr. Chairman, the charter bill is considered special legislation, which would trump the general legislation. So by passing this legislation, it's presumed that the General Assembly knows that they're overriding this other general legislation.
In this one instance only?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I think I've made note that the city of Richmond has a different role, and so does, as far as locally that we're aware of, and so does the city of Colonial Heights.
Okay. Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How long has the current treasurer been in office?
He took office in January of 2018.
Of 2018, so a little more than a year. And
Yeah.
these problems date back prior. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
No, that's fine.
Further question.
Open line of questions, granted.
So did these problems predate that election?
The last reconciliation was in, when I got involved, was October of 2018. And then there was an election, and naturally there was transition. And then the treasurer came in January. So it's been since January.
2018 or 2017?
18. He took office 2018.
Yeah, no.
No. Oh, I'm sorry. The October of 17.
Was the last reconciliation?
Reconciliation.
And
until we got involved and started resolving the problem in March and April.
Mr. Chairman, further question?
Senator.
Thank you. Was this, obviously, with some of the problems that had been going on, this was, clearly an issue in the campaign, and the people elected someone to solve a problem that they were aware that the city had. Is that correct?
I can't speak on that. What's
I
not in
would
the-
say as one that voted yes, that was the intent. Let's try something new, because what we have is not working.
And question for the patron.
Senator Morris.
So in other words, when the people of Petersburg elected the current treasurer, it was with the idea that they were electing someone to fix problems that were already in existence.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Morrison. Senator DeSteff.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Dance, so it's my understanding that these problems were from the previous treasurer, correct?
I will say that from the previous treasurer, we had in a consultant group that was okayed by the administration and the finance committees because that person was reporting, that was a Bob group that was reporting to Finance, Appropriations, Secretary of Finance as we moved through. And from that group, there were recommendations made, and they brought in a team, and they brought us up to, as he said, October 2017. They had brought us up to that point, and that is with the existing treasurer in place. We voted for a new treasurer in November 2017, okay? And from that point, we expected progress to continue.
So what you're saying,
Senator
Mr.
DeSteff.
Chairman, if you say, what you're saying, Senator Dance, is that under the new treasurer, there's been zero reconciliation of the collected city taxes since that point in time?
There was no reconciliation until the city's team hired to bring in one former treasurer, an existing treasurer, part-time to get the work done. That's how we were brought up to the point that we still could not meet our CAFA report because they were still behind. And we got a little chastised by the auditor of accounts because we asked for a delay because we knew we would not be able to make it. And they were a little adamant that when I asked to give us a break. I did not share all the fact that we had at that particular meeting, but that was the crux of what they were saying. How come you haven't gotten it right yet? We're working on it.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, so
Steph.
the problems were under the previous treasurer. The only way they got corrected or reconciled, where there was a reconciliation, was pulling in an outside team to do the reconciliation back in October of 2017.
That was a
But-
consultant team that we brought on. That consultant
Understood.
team phased out. We hired,
But since then, there's been no reconciliation, is what you're saying, correct?
we
Mayor,
have with this, the help of the new person.
if I may, Senator, there has been no reconciliation with the current treasurer because there was turnover in the new treasurer's office. The person who had been doing reconciliations left in March. The treasurer has not filled that critical position. So as much as we tried, the treasurer's office does not currently have the infrastructure in place to do the reconciliations in a timely manner. We've been collaborative. We provided support because for us, it's important that we provide accurate financial information to our elected officials and our citizens. And we cannot do that unless the reconciliation process is completed by the treasurer's office. It's like a team. Everybody has to play their role. And in this case, a critical role is not being played, and therefore we're having to supplement. And that means that with the small finance staff I have, there are other critical tasks that we're having to either bring in other consultants to do or not spend as much time on, which has other effects across the organization. So this is designed to help build the financial stability of the city of Petersburg.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, just one follow-up. And I'm a
Senator
little
Stepp.
concerned that we would have the city manager's office collecting city taxes. That just seems like we're missing a check and balance. But I'm also very concerned because we've not yet heard from the treasurer, who we should be hearing from to respond to these.
Well, we got there.
Maybe there's a real reason he can't get the reconciliation done, or maybe there's reasons behind why his last person that did the reconciliation left in March of 2018, and he's been unable to fill the position.
Let me
So I
ask,
think
let me
it'd be
ask this
imperative
question.
To hear from him.
Right, and I think we get here. So we have an election, city treasurer is elected, right, Senator Nance? I hear,
Yes.
I hear no testimony that he is an improper custodian of all monies that belong to the city, correct? And we don't have any evidence that he's an improper custodian, correct? We have no evidence that demonstrates that he is incapable or will not deposit those monies into a bank or banks as the council makes him do, correct? Is that correct? Senator Nance, is that right? I'm trying to get to the core here, and I think that's what he's asking. We have,
Yes.
we have no evidence that this new treasurer will not keep the books and accounts in a proper manner as the city council demands, and that he or she will not, he will not make them accessible to the mayor at all times, right? Yes or no?
What do you want us to start with those?
No, we have somebody, we understand the bad actor allegedly who is now under criminal prosecution of the former treasurer. It may be indicative, and there may have been a treasurer before that person who is also not so good. But I guess what I'm asking is, of all the duties that are prescribed in subsection 3, or Virginia Code 3-13 and 3-14, in 313 in the powers and duties of the treasurer, that there's nothing that we have here today that states that the current treasurer is incapable of doing the job that's prescribed by statute or a much better job than it was done by a previous treasurer.
Senator, if I may.
You just want to change how it's done,
No.
right?
Senator, if I may.
Yes.
It's not a question of whether he's capable. It's a question of whether it's being done in a number of those tasks. And what I pointed out is one critical task that is foundational for our financial system is the infrastructure to complete the daily reconciliations and closings. If we can't do the daily reconciliations, we can't close the day, then we can't close the month. And then when it comes down to the end of the year, we can't close the year, therefore we can't do an audit. And that is the situation that we're in. So we're talking about the capacity of the system that's in place now, and I can say that it's just not being done, and not having it not be done has disastrous effects on our financial system.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Favola.
I do come from local government, so I understand some of the complexities, and I was chair of our board several times. I'm just curious, I mean, you could, as the mayor or the city council, you could appropriate dollars to the treasurer's office and build up capacity that way. I mean, what you're choosing to do is actually remove some functions and put them over. Now, maybe you want more accountability, or you have an actual fiscal oversight reason for moving these functions. But you could have built capacity in the treasurer's office, which, you know, the challenge for us is the treasurer was actually elected. And so, and there, you know, there's an expectation of what he or she will do in office.
Madam Chairman, members of the, I know that I am not trying to diminish the worth of a person that I know, but I am responsible with what I know that to say and support what the city council, the residents of the city of Petersburg, by public hearing, have agreed need to go forward. We are not trying to police any, we're not trying to diminish the worth of the person, but we're saying that what we need to have done is not being done. And we have come 3 years away from being underwater. And the only reason that we are where we are right now is because there had to be outside help. We have outside two former treasurers that had to come in and help us get there. And I don't want to question the intellectual ability of whether or not the person has the skills, knowledge, and ability to do that. The reason it's not being done because of that or whatever. I'm not trying to diminish the worth of the person, but I'm concerned about the city of Petersburg and the direction they're moving in. And that's why they made this. And that's why I agreed a year ago when before we left session, they wanted to do something, and I said no. But over the last year, being more involved than I wanted to be, or seeing the information and having to assist as far as helping them find some people that would be willing to help them out of a situation, then I'm here. I'm standing here. This is not easy for me.
Nobody says it is, Senator Dance, but I guess and I don't mean to interrupt you, and especially from your colloquy there, but our concern would be the same as if the people elect you to be a state senator. And when you get there, this body determines that we're going to strip you of your ability to vote. We're going to strip you of your ability to sit on committee. We're going to strip you of your ability to even present bills, which leaves you with only the task of greeting people that come from your district and want to see you when you're here in session. I think all of us, that we would take that very seriously and really would find that is against the will of the voter. And so that, I think, is probably what some people's concerns are. And so forgive us for, we are very mindful of what you do here and how you do it and how you're passionate about these bills and why you think you're right and why you think these need to be passed. We just have some concerns, I think, in this committee, and you're hearing them. So let's, Senator Jen McClellan has been waiting patiently. Senator McClellan.
Thank you. Just two quick questions. Was this a recommendation of the consulting team that you discussed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And there's also I'm going totally on memory here, but isn't there also a state, either JLARC or someone that's working with the city, the auditor of public accounts or somebody?
There had been during that consulting process. There's not the active work now, but we do report to them. And
this was just so one logistical question. Looking at in section 3-14, there's a little bit of an inconsistency that's causing me a little bit of confusion. So as I understand it, this bill would take away from the treasurer. The treasurer would still collect taxes, but then the taxes would go, no?
No.
Okay.
The city collector.
Okay, so the city collector, though, it says on line 31 that it may be appointed by city council. He or she may be appointed by city council.
Right.
But then on line 33 says that the city manager shall be the collector. Isn't that an inconsistency?
In the ordinance passed by council last July 17 on the recommendation of the Robert Bob Group, it did several things. One, it created the office of the city collector, and it transferred certain functions to the city of collector and the office of billing and collections, which was subsequently stood up in November. So the city manager, by that ordinance passed by council, is the city collector.
Okay, but should we clarify that though in this section so that if council has said the city manager is going to be the collector by ordinance, why do you need to put that in the statute? What if council changes their mind and wants it to be somebody else? I guess why wouldn't you leave that flexibility to council rather than putting it in the code?
Why did you do that? Okay, I defer to the mayor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the local government committee. Thank you so much for considering our change here. We have.
And you sir, could you identify yourself? And I apologize.
I am Sam Parham, Mayor of the City of Petersburg.
Welcome, Mayor.
All right,
Thank you for running for office and being elected. That's one of the toughest jobs on the planet. So we're
Yes, sir.
very sympathetic for you.
And to speak on that, Mr. Chair, I just got reelected in November of last year.
So you're a glutton for punishment, is what you're saying.
And I'm back again.
Yes, sir.
Because the voters have sent me up here to help get the city back on strong financial footing.
Okay.
And we have been,
Let me ask you this. Do you think you just can't work with the treasurer, the new treasurer? Is that part of it?
it's not that. We are taking the current treasurer out of the equation. Going back to our previous treasurer, we still had to put extra resources in there to close out our books to get our CAFRA done. So year after year, we have allotted extra positions in the treasurer's office in years past, and waiting for the treasurer to hire and staff up has still been delaying getting the work done in their office. So what we've done proactively in bringing back the collector of city taxes was set up to be more transparent for our people, to be able to see that when money comes into the city, we have enough people in place to record the money that's taken in. And we're doing that on a consistent basis day after day. But the bottleneck that we have is waiting for the treasurer's office to catch up to speed to us to get that money deposited, to doing those transfers. And it is really at a critical time in the city in which we don't have reserves, so every dollar that we have has to be accounted for. And building this position up, our city manager creates our budget every year. And as long as I've been on council, and this is coming up on year 5, we have consistently had trouble with the projections of revenue coming in from the treasurer's office. And every year we're building out a budget at funds we think is coming in, and those shortfalls come from not actually knowing what's coming in the door on a day-by-day basis. So this would give the city of Petersburg the opportunity to do what we've done in the past with spending freezes, hiring freezes, things of that nature, because we know what's coming in the door, and we can definitely ward off another financial collapse that was created back in 2016.
And Mayor, this puts all of this basically on the city manager, who takes over these enumerated roles in the code, normally taken by the treasurer, correct?
Correct.
So you're just moving it from one person to another?
From one person to a department that will have the expertise and those financial functions that we have not had in the city of Petersburg at all. One of the biggest issues we have with the treasurer position is we're not getting the type of CPAs, financial background of individuals running for that office. Working with the city of Colonial Heights, they came over to help me during the time in 2016 and said that they were faced with the same issues that we are having now if they did not retract those duties from the treasurer's office to be able to function and have a government that actually works and is not dependent on year after year of having elections to dictate, crossing your fingers if we're going to get the right person in place that can help clean up and build out an office for us to be able to survive as a city.
And Mayor, don't you think you can just do this as a temporary thing, or do you believe this has to be a permanent transfer of power authority from the treasurer's office to the city manager in order for your city to be functional?
At this point in time,
No matter who the treasurer is, you may get Warren Buffett, who runs for treasurer of Petersburg and wins. You're telling me there's no way.
Look, if in a perfect world, yes, but what we're faced with is just the reality of what we had in the past. And we've given the new treasurer the time to clear up the office and to prove himself. We wanted to give him an opportunity because we heard also from the voters that they voted him in, so let's give him a chance. We brought in Robert Bob in here to help us come up with a path to create a better city. And this was a big recommendation by Mr. Bob. He started this process, and he looked at us surrounding areas to come up with a 21st century way of operating and accounting for our revenue.
And Mayor, you understand that sometimes when you dig a deep hole, it takes a while to get out of that hole because you have to build a bigger ladder. And so sometimes that does. And sometimes we have to move faster, but it sounds like what was done by the previous treasurer was an enormous undertaking to correct. Am I right about that? And really is not capable of fixing one man, one time, one woman, one time, one day. It's a year-long process at least or more.
Mr. Chair, and just bringing the history to you, our former treasurer, despite the issues that he had, never got in the way of our CAFR being on time. He did those bank reconciliations so we can actually get a good audit every year to account for what's going on. And this is the first year that we've gone backwards and our CAFR is late. And in Petersburg, we do not have any time to delay a CAFR because council is consistently keeping our eyes on revenues and keeping our hands down on spending.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Carrico. Thank you. And I'm sorry to have gone on about those questions, Senator Carrico.
I have to leave, but I'm curious to know, with the treasurer not having any responsibilities really other than disperse what the state share is, why then would you not put this on a referendum, allow the people to vote whether to keep a treasurer position? Because it appears to me that you're basically going to have a paid position with nothing to do.
Senator, we have a paid position which is similar to what goes on in the city of Richmond. Their finance department handles all of those revenues that come into the city of Richmond. And Ms. Wilder is in that office, and she handles those state taxes and those other fees that she send over on behalf of the treasurer. So the treasurer position is still there. We're not doing away with it, but at this point in time, for us to be able to move forward, we really have to be able to do those bank reconciliations to keep the city on sound financial footing.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Carrico.
What does the compensation board pay that treasurer to do those taxes?
Currently, the current treasurer makes roughly around $80,000 a year.
And does that come from the state compensation board?
Yes, part of that comes from the state compensation board, yes.
How much of that does the city pay?
I think at this point in time, the city pays 57. Okay.
Good afternoon.
This is Maisha Beasley, our interim
Hi, Ms.
director of
Beasley.
finance.
Good afternoon, Chairman.
Sorry, do you really want to come up here right now?
I don't, but.
You look very confident and capable of handling yourself here.
Good
so I think
afternoon, gentlemen. The comp board for the salary for the treasurer is actually about 67.4K. And that is totally coming from the comp board. There were other persons within the treasurer's office where we were compensating for there. Right now, there's only one other person that is reporting to Mr. Pritchett that is being totally utilized, salaries being funded by the comp board.
Okay. And how much is that?
That is roughly about $30,000.
So if my math is correct, there's currently about $97,000 from the comp board going to that treasurer's office that's not going to be performing the majority of the duties that are outlined.
That's correct, sir. And I did want to just point out, we're not trying to, the bill isn't to obliterate the role of the treasurer. We understand very much historically what that role means within the Commonwealth. We're just trying to bifurcate some of the roles and responsibilities because that role as treasurer does entail someone to have some familiarity with accounting and auditing. This is nothing against the person himself, Mr. Pritchett. It's really towards the role of anyone who will come in as the treasurer of any city or locality, as being the primary custodian of revenues and disbursements, funds going in and out of the city. I do think there are prerequisite knowledge, skills, and abilities that one must have.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Carrico, does that satisfy your query?
I mean, it does answer some questions.
All right, Senator Marston.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I ask staff, directing your attention to line 30 3-14, section 3-14. Are we there? Okay. Collector of city taxes generally, this is existing law, says there may be appointed by the city council in its discretion a collector of city taxes who shall serve at the pleasure of the city council. This goes above and beyond what the treasurers of the duties of the treasurer were. This authority has already existed. As I look at this more closely, it appears that you are just attempting here to exercise existing authority to create a collector of city taxes, and that you have designated as the city manager who will serve in that role. I was concerned about, the legality of overturning a constitutional officer's duties, but in this case, what you're doing is exercising existing authority that the code has already granted you, and that all this bill does really is to delineate who that person would be. And I guess the next thing is that not so?
Yes, Senator, correct.
And Jeff, you would agree that the city council is empowered of appointing anybody and saying you're the tax collector? Yes? Okay. All right. Are there any, is there any other statement you guys have spoken? I want to certainly speak to Mr. Pritch.
Mr. Chair, I think they were going to
Senator McClellan.
answer, I had what was going to lead to a proposed amendment that they were kind of nodding back and forth, and I think he was going to answer it before we went down another
My apologies.
rabbit hole.
My apologies were.
And I mean that without,
Can you
a
repeat
good
the
rabbit
question?
hole. Since the city manager was appointed by council by ordinance to be the tax collector, I guess I'm wondering why, should we leave the flexibility with council to appoint who the tax collector would be? Or is it your intention to enshrine, forever that it will be the city manager? And if so, should we make that clear by striking that the council appoints tax collector? So it's sort of a either or. The way it's written now, it's a little confusing.
Right, because Senator, it comes down to the terminology of may and shall.
Yes.
And at this point in time, we're asking for those duties at this time, coming out of the financial abyss that we've been in. We're not excluding the fact that, because it happened before when we had the city tax collector, those duties end up shifting over to the treasurer's office, and you phased out the collective city taxes. So now we're back at this point in time again where history repeats itself, in which we need the collective city taxes to do those depository functions. But if in prior councils after me, if they decide to go in a different route, I think we will be able to accept, to affirm the amendment.
So would you
to a friendly
would you view, based on your answer, would you view it as a friendly amendment on line 33?
Striking the city
Striking
manager?
shall and inserting
Yes.
may? Thank you.
Yes, it will be.
I so move that.
I would say may serve as the collector. On 33, then, your friendly amendment is that the city manager may serve, striking shall, insert may, serve as the collector of city taxes. Is that right, Senator McClellan?
Yes.
All right, I hear a motion on that.
So moved and seconded.
Motion second. Being properly supported, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The amendment is made. We have stricken shall and changed to may, making it permissive.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I do think that's a friendly amendment, and I appreciate it. I just wonder who is then going to be making the decision with the word may? I mean, don't we still have?
Council, well,
City council.
Line 31.
Okay.
that's on
All right,
line 31.
let's hear from Mr. Pritchett. We don't want to spend all day on this, but certainly Ken Pritchett, if he is here, if you could come forward, sir. And if there's any follow-up, we'll let you have a little time as well. Sir, yes.
Mr. Chairman, we do have several handouts that I think are pertinent to the conversation.
Please hand those to our incredible Paige, and she will hand them to the members of the council. Mr. Pritchett, welcome.
Good day, Mr. Chairman, and esteemed members of the local Government Committee. I was told to make my comments brief and not to be redundant, and I thank you for the opportunity to defend this constitutional office.
You've had good counsel, by the way, and you're being told to be brief.
Right, but my brevity seems to have turned into, instead of being 4 or 5 minutes, to make 45 minutes. But I promise you I won't take that much time.
Yes, sir. Let's not take that much time.
I have some statements that I think some of you have even asked questions that have shown some of these to be relevant. Just as some definitions, city manager serves at the pleasure of the city council. That could change at any time, as you all are well aware of. The treasurer is elected by the people and accountable to those who vote for him or her for 4 years. And then that treasurer has the opportunity to make a decision to run for another term. The city manager could be here today, like I said, and gone tomorrow, depending on the favor of the city council. The city manager has stated that she would be able to give the city at least 5 years, and I think she is going on her second or third year at this point. If anything, the city collector, who has been recently reincarnated because the city probably hasn't had a city collector in the last 40, 45, 50 years, and that has been changed by the ability for city council to have that appointment because it was already one of the 5 appointments that the city council could make. The thing that really concerns me is the fact that the city is taking away the checks and balance system that the city treasurer has, which the city collector would be under the guise of the city manager, who is appointed, and that is, somebody pointed out earlier that there was kind of a conflict in duties because it says the city manager is also appointed as a city collector, and then we're going to appoint a city collector. So that, I think, the city needs to try to straighten out. If anything, I think the city collector, it should be considered that the city collector be placed under the city treasurer, which is what in essence happened when they stopped having a city collector. When this city collector was appointed by ordinance last, actually July of 2017, and the city collector or the billing and collecting office went into place in November of 2017 during the term of the previous treasurer. The city treasurer's office was devastated by only having 2 people left plus the elected treasurer. Well, just a little background, the person in all this reconciliation talk is totally accurate. But the fact that nobody's mentioned is that the person that did the reconciliations in the treasurer's office was one of the 2 people that was left, and the city council and city manager determined to cut the city supplement income by $18,000 to this person and notified her by email, which was, I didn't think, a very classy way to do it. But the problem is this young lady decided, well, you're going to cut me $18,000. And I did write, and I put in a packet the letter that I wrote before I took office to the city manager trying to reinstate this money so that she would not leave. Well, that was turned down, and this person left the end of February. So getting to the point that I have not appointed or hired a person to replace her, reconciliation is very difficult. We have had 2 professionals in there since last June or July trying to reconcile and get the CAFR done. That is something that a person needs to spend, from what I've learned so far, full time in doing these reconciliations.
And Mr. Pritchett, let me ask you a question. Once you get that reconciliation all together and the CAFR's done, are you back on track? You think the office is close to being back on track at that point?
Well,
and you're able to fulfill your duties as they're enumerated by statute?
I think so, yes, sir.
Okay. So you just want a chance, right? I mean,
Well, that would be really nice, and it would have to have staff. I would like to make one more point in the
Please.
fact that the claim is that money has not been deposited. We deposit money every day. We have a program with SunTrust Bank that we have direct deposit of all checks. Back in May or June, I discovered that there was thousands of checks in the safe on the city collector's side, and they had no staff to process those and place the payments on the taxpayers' accounts. Well, having brought that up a couple of times, they actually hired more people and more cashiers to post these payments, and we put in a matter of July, we put in 5,400 payments, and I don't have the figure for how many millions this could have been, but that is a way that we account for the money on a daily basis. The money goes into the city coffers, goes into our general account, and our director of finance watches that like a hawk, and she sees that the money is there. And I have made some suggestions to try to change our cash flow to make it better by spotting some months that low cash flow is there and high cash flows, and moving like personal property taxes to a different cycle. And that has been just falling on deaf ears. And it would mean that we may not have to have a $6.5 million RAND to a revenue anticipation note to meet different payrolls and have cash flow at different intervals of the year. I think we've gotten in the habit of having that, but it could change. We don't have to have $6.5 million if we change the cash flow. We could probably reduce that each year and then eventually get rid of the RAND. So that is
okay,
basically
and
the
Mr.
only
Pritchett,
con-
I mean, do you feel fully capable of doing the job and the duties as enumerated in the statute without a change?
I do, and I ran under that premise that there were some things that would change, but they changed the office as I was running.
This
Yes, sir.
this committee operates by motion. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Volt.
I'm ready to make a motion, but I have one just last question, and I'd like to ask staff. We were talking about lines 31 to 34 in the current law, and it's clear that the city council, in its discretion, may appoint a collector of city taxes, and he shall perform such duties and powers as prescribed by the city council or by state law. And then we made a change, the city manager may serve as the collector of city taxes. What difference does a tax collector appointed by the city council, and apparently his duties can be identified by the city council? Given that context, why would we need all the language that's in line 41 through 48?
Jeff.
If you can answer that question, that can get me to a motion. And this is for staff.
Mr. Chairman, I would say that the city apparently wanted that language in order to delineate the duties of this collector of taxes. I mean, that was their preference. They could have chosen a different route, I suppose.
Mr. Chairman, a follow-up question.
Senator.
Wouldn't the city council, if the city council did appoint a tax collector, would not the city council have, using a reasonable approach, want to delineate the responsibilities of a city tax collector as opposed to the treasurer? I mean, couldn't that be done under the current code?
I would say yes.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if it can be done under the current code, then I would not be supportive of this bill.
Is there a motion?
eh,
There is a motion to gently pass this bill by for the year. Is there a second?
Second.
Second being
The
properly
patron
supported.
wants to respond,
Of
Mr.
course.
Chairman.
Well, of course, we don't mean to cut you off, Senator Davis.
I'm just want to be certain, what you're saying is that they, by law, they can do all of these things without having to have a charter change? That they are not
Jeff?
required, that they can go forward from this point and do all the things that they are listed there, and they do not have to have a charter change to make this happen?
Jeff,
Is that what is that what you're
under
saying?
the city, the collector of city taxes that can be appointed by the city council, isn't that correct, Jeff?
They can appoint the city collector and assign duties. I'm not prepared to go so far as to say that the current treasurer will not,
Right.
that there won't be some dispute over who's doing what duties.
But under the current statute, the
Under the
treasurer
current
would then.
statute, that's what I want, under the current statute, they can go forward and do what is listed here. And based on this, they did not need a charter to do what they have already realized that they need to get done. So they are okay to do this as is, with no charter change.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
And let me try to see if I can answer this a certain way, and Jeff, you can agree with me or not agree with me. This statute, as is written without amendment, that you're attempting to do, allows for a your city council to appoint a collector of city taxes in its discretion, who serves at the pleasure of the city council and perform such duties and have such powers as are prescribed by the city council or by state law. Is that correct, Jeff?
That's correct.
Yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And nothing,
And then,
Mr. Chair, I just want to make sure I'm clear when they leave.
and
here,
then
they're
if,
happy campus.
yes, well,
That-
and let me,
nothing-
so let me, Senator Dance, let me try to power through this for you.
Okay.
If the city, and this is as the code is written, if the city council does not appoint a collector of city taxes, those duties and powers prescribed to the collector of city taxes, which are down below, shall be administered by the treasurer and as provided for by state law.
Okay.
The code as it states right now for your treasurer still leaves the powers and duties of the treasurer under 3-13 of the code still in place if this bill does not pass. But without this bill, your council has had and maintains the ability to appoint a city collector of taxes. Is that correct, Jeff?
Okay,
Say it again, Jeff. I want it on the record.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Excellent.
so,
Well stated.
okay, I just want to make sure now, Mr. Chair, staff lawyer, they are okay to do the things they do, reconciliation.
Roz, we'll talk
all
about
those
this.
things.
You and I can talk about this. I'll
I want
help
to
you
make
out.
sure when they leave here, they're happy
Right.
campus and they
But
understand and they go.
but I
forward.
want to, but I think I want to be clear too, Senator
Okay.
Dance, that I don't think this committee is so comfortable with stripping your treasurer, who is duly elected, of those duties that are prescribed in 3-13 of the Virginia Code. It's still leaving the city with the ability to appoint a city collector of taxes. So I think what we're finding is it's unnecessary and at the same time, perhaps punitive in nature for somebody that maybe doesn't deserve it.
Mr. Chairman, that's fair. I just want to make
Senator,
sure that.
Senator Favola.
Thank you. I just want to make sure the patron is absolutely comfortable with this conversation.
Are you, Mr. Mayor, are you comfortable with what you're hearing?
Just to clarify, again, Mr. Chair, just to clarify that city council has the ability to do that as stated
Right.
under the
Do
code.
do you have a city attorney?
Yes.
Okay, and I think the city attorney can give you proper legal advice, but we have some lawyers sitting up here, and the way I read the code, because we read it all the time, is you are empowered already in your discretion to appoint a collector of city taxes who serves at the pleasure of the city council and performs the duties and have such powers that are prescribed by the city council or state law. That's already in the code. You can pick who you want, you can pick the city manager, you can pick the Easter Bunny. If you don't appoint a city collector of taxes to collect those taxes, then the treasurer assumes those duties by your own charter. And again, am I correct, Jeff? Yes, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, so we have a motion on the,
What, Ms. Chair?
Senator McClellan.
I'm sorry to slow the train, but I have a question.
Woo, woo.
Because I suspect if we don't clarify it, I think given what's going on in Petersburg, there will be lawsuits. So if this bill does not pass, and council passes an ordinance that says we appoint the city manager, the collector of the taxes, and designate him as the custodian of the books and the person that deposits the money in the bank, and the code still says the treasurer is the custodian of the books and deposits the money in the bank, and the two of the, and somebody shows up at the treasurer's office and says, "Give me the money," and they both are by law the custodian, who gets the money?
I think we have to understand that there's a difference in this code between that who collects and that who disperses, that who accepts and that who gives, and those duties. Is that right again, Jeff?
And that's my
I'm on a
point.
roll. I don't want to say no. I don't want you to say no, Jeff.
Mr. Chairman? There may be room for an amendment.
We have a proper motion on the floor to gently pass this by, with all due respect to the great Senator Rosalind Dance, to pass this bill by for the year, gently. There is a second that has supported it. Is there any further discussion?
Could you please listen to my amendment?
You can't.
You can pull your bill.
Discussion, I'm sorry.
You can pull
Discussion.
your motion back.
So
You can pull
the
your
bill
motion
did
back.
more than say council can appoint the city manager as the collector of the taxes. The bill took other duties as well.
Correct.
You are the custodian of the money, you put it in the bank, you keep the books, et cetera, et cetera. Their question, and the reason they brought this bill, is because they want the city manager to do more than just collect the taxes. They want the city manager to do everything that is in lines 15 through 26.
Reconciliation.
And if this bill does not pass, and the council passes an ordinance giving to the city manager the duties in lines 15 through 26, and under state code, those duties still belong to the treasurer under lines 15 to 26, then council will have set up a conflict where two people are charged with be the custodian of the money and put it in the bank and reconcile. And then when the city manager shows up to the treasurer's office and says, give me the books and everything I need to do what's in lines 15 to 26, the treasurer's going to say no, because under 15 to 26, that's my job. And he's going to say, well, no, because under the ordinance passed by council in lines, 31 to 34, that's my job. And then they're going to court.
Mr. Chair, can the council, staff council respond to that?
Mr. Chairman, I agree that this could set up a disagreement, a tussle over duties, exactly as this senator has just stated.
Isn't there a tussle over duties going on right now?
Mr. Chair, we're trying to make sure we can get our capital reports done.
My inclination is if this motion is supported and passed, that we have the Council on Local Government take a look and see if there's, or help them mediate a way that those duties can be delineated without us dictating them, just based on one side wanting one thing and the other side objecting to it. I don't think that's our role.
But, Mr. Chairman, in an effort to be helpful, though, if I may.
The proper motion on the floor is a motion to pass by.
Okay, I'm going to speak to the motion. Speaking to the motion.
Okay. Senator Locke has given me a dirty look, so we need to move along here. That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, Senator McClellan is correct, but my expectation, and maybe you have to put it in words, is that if in fact a collector of city taxes was hired, that person would, the tasks would have to be delineated in a different way differently from what the treasurer's doing. Yeah. So if we added on line 31 that there may be appointed by the city council and it's a collector of city taxes with responsibilities delineated as complementary to the treasurer, something like that, who shall serve at the pleasure of the city council, that would force the city council to delineate the responsibilities in a way that the treasurer would be doing something and the city collector would be doing something else.
Mr. Chairman?
I guess you don't like that.
Let me take care, I'm going to take back my committee now, because I've been as gracious as I possibly can. This is going off the rails. We're not going to have it go off the rails anymore. So we're either going to do one of two things. We're either going to vote on this motion and hope that they work it out, or I'm going to give you no more opportunity to testify if the patron asks, because I think the world of her, that she thinks that the treasurer and this city can sit down and delineate those duties to an agreeable fashion where we can make slight amendments to this statute and code, where we can come back and not have these issues that Senator McClellan says might happen. I'm willing to do that. 1 week.
Because it
McClellan, you all right with that?
Reconcile when Janet was gone, you know that.
So I'm saying you will allow.
I've been open to that all along.
So I'm assigning you McClellan. No.
Okay, all right, Mr. Chair.
Do you think, no,
Mr.
no,
Chair.
no, Senator Dance, I don't mean to cut you off.
Okay.
I want to hear not from you. I want to hear from these gentlemen behind you, the mayor, the CEO, COO, and the treasurer. If I give you 1 week, can you come back? And I don't want, and look, I'm going to tell you what I feel. I feel like when we start carving up constitutional offices like this, just because we had a bad actor, a couple bad actors, we're losing the intent of the founding principles of the Constitution, which is the basis of the Commonwealth of Virginia in these areas. I am not in the mood to do that. But if you can take 1 week and come back and do perhaps what Senator McClellan says, I got this job, you got the city collector of taxes has this job, this is this, and have it back in form for us, and Senator Dance presents it to us and tells us that y'all are happy,
Chief in the Valley.
then I will hear that with no more further testimony.
Gotcha.
Senator Dance, gentlemen, is that something you think you can work out, or you want to give it at least a shot, a week to do?
This? Yes. You gonna say yes? We gonna work this
Mr.
out?
Chairman, we can work this out, and we should have probably a person who is a CPA or someone who is an expert at reconciling these accounts, and that could be between either finance, collecting, or the treasurer's office.
Okay, that's a yes from the treasurer. I appreciate you, treasurer. Mayor, is that something we can work out in a week?
Yes, we'll work it out in a week and bring it back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. COO, is that something you believe you can work something out? Delineates all the positions and you all agree to it, and from here on out, Petersburg runs like a top.
Absolutely.
Because let me be clear, just as I was to those in the proffer, if you don't work this out, I will work it out for you. And you won't like the answer, all 5'9" of me. You heard about that, okay? So now I have whoever made the motion. I need to unwind where we are in terms of the motion in a second. Is a substitute motion proper? Is that clerk? You got to. Yeah, you made the original motion. No, you made the original. All right, rescind your. Are you rescinding your motion? Let's give him a week.
Original motion, and I'd like to make a motion that we pass it by
For the week. So we'll have a next hearing next Tuesday, which is that's not our last hearing, is it? We have
Last meeting.
second last meeting? Second last meeting. All right. All right, that motion to pass by for the week without objection will be accepted. Thank you, Senator Dance.
Thank you.
From the bottom of my heart, I know what you're trying to do, and we want this to be good for the great city of Petersburg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for exhausting us.
Hey, Bill, real quick, this transfer didn't need to take place in the code because at the pleasure, he shall perform any such duties and such powers as are prescribed by the city council. Right. We don't need to put this in.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Locke.
Mr. Chairman.
What? You better be Senator Locke.
No, Sir Bill. I wonder if we have a more interesting bill we could take up so my daughter doesn't think I do this kind of stuff all day.
Do you understand that I try my best to not make angry Senator Locke, who I adore as well?
I am going.
And so
Scott.
she's going full board. Senator Locke. Thank you. I stand up for the right things, or
I understand that
what
you
I
all
fear.
did Senate Bill 1089, but I had a substitute for that bill.
It's now in finance. It's gone. Do you want to pull it back and put the sub on, guys? All right. The motion by which can we? Oh, it's not the committee. Okay. You're gonna have to take it upstairs. I'm sorry.
Why would you do that?
I was told. I got look. I had this red thing. It said, "Go to finance."
But it had a substitute.
I didn't know.
You just said no.
You need to pay attention.
Yes, ma'am. I do. Yes, I do. All right.
Therefore, I'll go to Senate Bill 1131.
How about 10:45? Did we inaugural meeting?
I want 1131.
Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am. 11:30.
Pay attention.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I have people here for this.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Senate Bill 1131 changes the definition of area of operation for purposes of the Fort Monroe Authority. The current statute defines the area of operation as land to be acquired by the Commonwealth at Fort Monroe, which referred to the fact that the property was in the process of being transferred from the Army to the Commonwealth. The final transfers of land from the Army to the Commonwealth are expected to be completed in the coming months. So this legislation reflects this anticipated completion of property transfers by changing the definition to land owned by the Commonwealth at Fort Monroe.
Excellent, well done. Is there anyone who would like to ask a question of the patron?
Mr. Chairman?
Who dare ask a question of the patron? Oh,
Mr.
Senator
Chairman?
DeSteph, go for it.
I
Good
would
luck.
like to, after spending an hour and 30 minutes on the last bill and an inconvenience to Senator Locke, I would like to try to maybe fast-track this because I believe that this is going to be unanimous that we pass it. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to fast-track things, if Senator Locke would like to, and suggest we report this bill.
We have Delegate Glenn Oder here. Delegate, would you like to say anything, or are you good? All right. Motion being made to report the Senate Bill 1131 as fast as we possibly can. Is there a fast second?
Second.
Fast second being properly supported. Is there any discussion? Fast discussion. No fast discussion. Seeing nothing fast. Clerk, open the roll quickly. Close the roll quickly.
12 ayes, 0 nays.
12 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 1131 passes. Very good bill, Senator Locke.
Senate Bill 1045.
1045, Senator Locke.
It changes the charter of, it's a charter change for the city of Newport News. The Newport News City Council is currently required by charter to hold the first meeting of a newly elected city council at 10 a.m. The council is asking for the authority to choose the time of their first meeting.
Okay, is there any question of the patron of this bill?
Mr. Chairman, I move we report this.
Second.
No, Senator Marsden says this is an outrageous usurpation of authority. You're changing everything around. Senator Locke, what is your response to that?
They prefer to change the time.
Now, will this be standard time, or will this be daylight savings time?
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'm fine. All right, motion and report being made. Is there a second?
Second.
Second properly supported. Is there any discussion on this bill? Hammer time, changing time. All right, hearing none, clerk, open the roll. I want to hear you. No, I can't do that to you. And that bill reports 12-0. Oh, no, say
Now I
that.
turn it over to Serville.
Are you done?
I think that's it.
Well, it was far too brief. Next time, we hope to spend more time with you.
I'm so glad we had this time.
And indeed. Thank you, Delegate Oda, for what you do.
I think one more layer here. They came here, they could do it, if they did it on their
Senator
own.
Sherville.
If they did it on city council by their own ordinance, it puts it in conflict. If they come in as state law and do this, then it doesn't.
So they'd have to spell it out.
So we have to spell it out. I think that is,
Which is why they keep.
they chose. to-
Senate Bill 1305, Edwards bill. Okay.
No, 1305 is me.
Huh?
1305, I'm sorry, you're right. 1305 Edwards, okay.
I would like Senator Sherville to carry present SB 1305, signed John Edwards.
I got my own bill too. I thought we were doing mine. I'll go do Edwards.
Well, guess
Okay.
what? John Edwards, he's up in the queue.
Yeah, this is the bill you all saw last week. We just need to go back and clarify that you don't have to file a lawsuit to get a lien. Jeff took standard language that appears 5 or 6 other times in the code and swapped it out to achieve what the city of Roanoke, my mother's hometown, was trying to do. And I'm happy to honor to carry the city's bill.
All right, now this is a lien, so that we're creating liens for if I don't pay my recycling bill, it's a lien. Oh, wait,
Combined recycling real estate. It has to be a combined bill.
and it looks like there's an amendment in the nature of substitute.
Yes.
It's combined trash, recycling, waste. Substitute being moved.
Second.
Second being properly supported. Any discussion? All in favor of moving the substitute signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, same sign. That substitute has been adopted by the committee and is now before us.
Your new language is 31 through 33.
Which is what?
It just took out the requirement they file a lawsuit to get the lien.
Right. Okay. Are there any questions of the stunt patron? The stunt John Edwards.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we report the bill.
Ooh, hey, anybody want to speak in favor of this bill? We said there was going to be no more discussion, so Mr. Catron, we don't need to hear from you. Anybody against this bill? Anybody love being free from tyranny and imperial taxes of the English?
Recycling lien.
All right, so there's a motion to report the bill. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, second supporting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Clerk, open the roll.
You guys get me. Can you get mine too? It's not here. Beat City, just hit me twice. There you go.
Leans for trash. All right, that, close the roll.
11 ayes, 1 nay.
11 ayes, 1 nay. That bill, Senate Bill 1305 is reported, 11 to 1. All right.
I have 1691,
Which one?
Town of Dumfries. Ready?
What, are you gonna kill him?
You ready?
If you want to, then. All right. Hold
Mr.
on.
Chairman, voting on the prevailing side in which we passed Senate Bill 1305, the substitute, I request we reconsider that.
Motion on the floor being that we rewind, basically having voted on the prevailing side, that we reconsider the motion by which Senate Bill 1305 passed. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Or no, we got to open the roll, don't we? It's a roll call. Hey, Katrin, you may want to get back in here.
I got it.
12 ayes, 0 nays.
12 ayes, 0 nays. The motion is before us. And the motion was, is there still a motion to reconsider? I mean, a motion to
Motion to
report?
report. I moved to report.
Move to
Second.
report, properly supported, seconded. Any discussion on the motion to report? On the clerk, open the roll again. Let's see if we can do this the right way.
Why?
Ouch.
Why?
6 ayes, 6 nays.
6 ayes, 6 nays. The bill fails to report by failing to get a majority. What a change. All right. Interesting. And Katrin has no idea. Hey, Rob, your bill failed. Rob, come in here. All right, so Senator Edwards' bill fails to report on a motion to reconsider. 1305 dies in a vote 6-6. And Servo had to have his daughter watch him do that. I think he'll be a lot better, Ms. Servo. So just pay attention. She's going to do a lot better on this one. All right, Scotty, next one.
Um, 1691, Town of Dumfries. Town of Dumfries is, we ready?
Yes, sir.
Town of Dumfries, oldest town in the Commonwealth of Virginia. This bill does 9 things stated in the summary. Most important thing is it changes the election date from May to November. It adopts the council manager form of government. It makes clear who can be on the town council in terms of their age. It says you can't run for council and mayor at the same time. And it creates some additional appointed positions for the council. It says when the council can declare a seat vacant if people don't start skipping a lot of meetings. And makes it clear they have a mid-year budget review. That's it. I don't believe anybody opposes it.
All right, any questions of the patron? Anybody here from the oldest town in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the town of Dumfries, would like to speak in favor of the bill?
Used to be
Lurch, you
bigger
like
than-
this bill?
Used to be bigger than New York City.
All right. Anyone opposed to this bill? All right, hearing none, we operate by motion.
Second.
Motion being to report the bill. Second properly supported. Is there any conversation or comment? Hearing none, open the roll, please. And close the roll.
13 ayes, 0 nays.
13 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 1691 is reported. Congratulations. See, your father can do a great job with bills. And we're just surprised, even with his bill limit of 25, that he would do a charter bill. I mean, there's so many other issues before him.
Got to represent my town.
Rock on there, Senator Servo. Well done. Okay, next one up, you said was, who was in the room? Senator Mason? Wake up, big guy.
Sir, Mr. Chairman. I apologize, Mr. Chairman. I was with the peanut gallery over there. Senate Bill 1408.
1408.
Last year, Mr. Chairman, a wise man said inoperable vehicles are a way of life in some parts of this state. And, Mr. Chairman, it seems that...
Some call it yard art,
Yeah,
okay?
we had a discussion on yard art as well. But it seems that when we ran it down the hall to the other chamber, they seemed to have a little agricultural hiccup. So this year, to excite Paige Sarville once again, we've decided to go a different direction with a charter change to try to get in the same code section or expired license plate or expired inspection sticker, but charter change to be exercised on properties only 2 acres or smaller. So it might bother the vegetable garden, Mr. Chairman, but no farms at all to be impacted.
So 2.001 acre, I can have my Buick out in the front yard missing a tire.
You're still an and, Mr. Chairman. You have to have
And.
an expired section sticker and,
Okay, all right.
which will save the 2 farmers in James City County much
Yeah,
discontent.
I mean, don't you live in a rural area?
I live in the city of Williamsburg, Mr. Chairman.
Isn't that a rural area?
I'm from the town of Farmville now.
That's a rural area.
Now you see.
All right, you hate freedom.
So I love.
All right, freedom haters.
I love freedom.
We're
and-
just lining up today. Is there anybody who's in support of this bill? Mr.
Well,
Catron,
Mr.
you want to
Chairman,
be
I
in
did
support of
get
this
an
bill?
email. I got an email that said, if I pass this, I will be a hero.
To whom?
Hey, well, that's a little unclear, sir. Someone with an email address. That's,
Well, let's see if we can't make Senator Mason a hero. Motion to report the bill. Second being properly made. Is there any discussion on that bill? Seeing none, clerk, open the roll. This is for Southside.
you just want to hear about it over.
Exactly right.
And over again.
No, I did not.
12
This is
ayes,
about-
1 nay.
Do you know you can really do a really nice planter with your car in the front yard? You can make, you can have things growing out of it.
Saw off the top of a Jaguar, I believe.
That's right.
is what we
That's
heard
exactly
A couple
right.
years ago. We spent a lot of
Chicken
brain cells on
coops.
this, Mr. Chairman.
Chicken coops can
So in this vote, Mr. Chairman, I thank the committee and a portion of the chairman.
Yeah. Thank you, Senator Mason. Well done. All right. What are we left? Are we left with Hanger? And my favorite senator of all time, Dr. Donovan. Senator Donovan, 1594. Boysko was in here, but did she read it?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bill 1594 is to clear up a line between 2 counties that has been a problem. If you look at the bill, we're really just striking that it can only be used by certain counties, GIS or Geographic Information Systems, to determine the line. The situation for us is that there's Mr. Chairman, I just would, I'm teasing him. He's ignoring me. There's a line between Louisa and Hanover. Thank you, Barbara. I'll look at you. There's a line between Louisa and Hanover. Thank you. That is a curvy road, and in that boundary designation, because we have not been able to use the GIS system, we basically have agreed between the 2 counties that property owners on one side of that windy road will vote and be represented by Louisa, and on the other side will be represented by Hanover. However, because the line has been drawn as a straight line, it has caused some confusion about where people vote and where they get their services and where they pay their taxes. So we would like to modernize and update that with the same technology that's available to other counties. And that's essentially the bill as it exists. It's just striking out the exception that only certain counties can use GIS to determine these boundary lines. Very good. I have somebody that's patiently waited to speak to this, my county manager in Hanover, and I think he would love just a moment of your time.
Mr. Chair and members of the committee, I'm Sterling Reeves, the county attorney currently.
Kearney is so sorry.
Sterling
I
Reeves.
appreciate the
Yes.
promotion, but.
As he lives and breathes. Sterling Reeves, everybody.
Yes, Mr. Chair, it always makes me nervous to appear before you.
As it should.
I'm here to answer any questions that you might have, but this bill is permissive, and it affects the process by which boundary line adjustments between localities are made, and it would allow the use of GIS maps as an exhibit in the court process for getting the approval. Currently, the law requires either a plat or a meets and bounds survey. In many cases, that is simply not effective or necessary. It costs a lot of time and taxpayer dollars to accomplish. GIS is a better and more efficient process. I'll be glad to answer your questions.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Just out of curiosity
Senator
more
Marsh.
than anything, does this impact, somebody could live, their home be on one side of the road and some property on the other? Would this new system impact people's property taxes in some way? Or could it?
The system would not, all this would do would facilitate amendments to existing boundaries. And in this case, what we're trying to do is amend the boundary to reflect the boundaries that have been traditionally observed so that people will be able to vote where they currently pay taxes, send their kids to school, and so on. What happened after last year's, the 2017 elections, is the State Board of Elections took a real close look at boundary lines, and they found a number of locations across the state where traditionally observed boundaries didn't line up with census blocks. Well, the census blocks are actually rely on GIS data. And what we propose is to use GIS data to depict the change that we're going to make to conform the boundary line to where people actually thought and have for all intents and purposes, lived and voted and worked.
Mr. Chairman, just one quick follow-up question.
Senator Favola.
Thank you. So once you determine this using GIS, you would change your official plats and recorded real estate documents and all that. I mean, that doesn't change the formality that you're already using, so voters would understand.
That's exactly right. We would still have the process with public hearings in both localities. We go to court. The court considers the request. Citizens have the opportunity for input. This just makes it easier to depict the line, where the line will be. Thank you.
Mr.
Sterling, the question then would be, because this would affect Hanover from what you're saying, could we mess with the property lines of Senator McDougal? No, really? Like, for fun?
I'll leave that between the two of you. And let the, we'll see how that turns out.
You're no fun.
But this is actually on the other side of the county from where Senator McDougal is.
Okay.
This is Senator Donovan's area.
I thought he
And
owned
I
the
don't
whole
think you
county.
want to mess with her.
No. Forget I said anything.
I thought.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we report the bill.
Second.
Motion being properly made to report Senate Bill 1594, supported by a second. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, clerk open the roll. And close the roll.
13 ayes, 0 nays.
13 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 1594 reports.
Thank you, Mr.
Well done.
Chairman.
Thank you, as
Chairman
always.
and members, thank you.
Thank you, Sterling. Always good to see you. All right, Linwood. Couple two. Now, I've got a little, another preliminary matter here before we go on. Senate Bill 1479, the patron is Senator Deeds. He's asked that be carried over while the stakeholders try to work something out. So do I have a motion to carry that by for the week? Motion being made and a second being probably supported. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And we've carried that over for the week. All right.
Mr.
Senator Lewis,
I've got
if
Senate
you
Bill
start messing with the treasurer in Olney, we're going to have it out for you, okay?
1558, and it's only, Mr. Chairman.
Only, I'm sorry. Olney is in Maryland.
Yeah, but you say Chincoteague too, don't you?
I do not.
All right, Mr. Chairman, this is what I hope will be a simple charter bill. The town of Only has added a town manager to the list of their appointed employees. Only wants the town manager's job description and duties, which are, as I understand it, codified already to be reflected in the charter. The council wants the town manager to be its CEO, and the council they had a public hearing, and the council unanimously voted for these changes. And you can see the appointment starts in January. They've changed that to January, and for the town manager, the town manager may also be appointed to serve as the town treasurer. It enumerates the duties of the town manager, which is, again, as I understand it, are already in the code. And that's pretty much it, Mr. Chairman.
I bet the mayor goes to like those mayor conferences and says, I'm the only mayor, and everybody goes, yeah, I bet you think you are, right?
That's right.
No, maybe that's something, okay. Are there any questions for Senator Lewis? Is there anybody here who supports the bill, would like to speak about it? Only one at a time. I could keep going. All right, is there anybody against the bill? Motion report being made, supported by a second. Any discussion on that? Clerk, open the roll.
They say only the loudly.
Yeah, can I be the only one making puns up here? Why don't you chip in? Close the roll, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
13
next,
ayes, 0 nays.
next
Hold
one's
on.
1562.
Ayes 13, nays 0. Senate Bill 1558 passes. Senate Bill 1562.
And this, Mr. Chairman, is a pretty extensive rewrite of the town charter for the town of Eastville in
Oh, boy.
Northampton County. The town charter had, had not been amended since 1922. So the town wanted to remove some archaic language to clarify, use up-to-date definitions in its charter. So you can see it's comprehensive. They've put in election dates, definition of town employees and with job descriptions, updated the timeframes for filling the vacancy on a council or the employment of an appointed appointee. They also reflect a boundary line agreement as to the town's description that they entered into with the county of Northampton in 2017, terms of office of the mayor, and the powers and duties of the mayor are set forth, as are those of the vice mayor. And then it also enumerates the officers that can be appointed. I think it's all pretty standard stuff, Mr. Chairman, as I understand it.
Is there any questions of the patron on this bill, Senate Bill 1562? Seeing none, hearing none, is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of the bill? Anybody who would like to speak in opposition of the bill? Is there a treasurer out there? Because it's, ladies and gentlemen, 183,
Chairman.
line 183, duties of the town treasurer. I mean,
Mr. Chairman.
Are we going into any kind of weird area there? Senator Servo.
Just noting that their original charter in section 6, they were given the power to regulate those who engage in the sale of wines, ardent spirits, malt liquors, alcoholic bitters, and mixtures thereof. And that doesn't seem to be in their new charter. I don't know if that was intentional.
They've gone dry, Mr.
Senator
Chairman.
Lewis. Bitters. How about that? All right.
Even though, Mr. Chairman, even though the power was optional, I mean, they wouldn't have to use it. Never mind. They may.
Oversee the beer maker. Okay. Anyone else? I mean, Linwood, you bring some really exciting stuff to the General
Makes the
Assembly.
blood
don't you?
boil, doesn't it, Mr.
I mean,
Chairman?
you just don't wait around.
Second.
Motion and a second. Motion being made to report the bill is properly supported by a second. Is there any discussion on that bill? Okay. Hearing none, clerk open the roll.
Go ahead and get me. I don't have much for yet.
You're
Thank you,
doing-
Mr. Chairman.
13 ayes, 0 nays.
13 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 1562 reports. Senator Hanger. Oh, you're about it. You're the only game in town besides Boy Scout. Anybody want to, Senator Hanger, how are you, bud?
Thank you. Doing well, very good, other than I just lost a big bill over in P&E. And Senator Sturdivant did over with a big show in P&E over redistricting.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, you should have had it transferred over here.
They tricked us. They
Should have-
tricked us, Mr. Chairman.
I don't like that. They should have just asked them to refer it over here. We'll do it.
Thank you.
Senate Bill 1396.
It is is a charter bill for the city of Waynesboro regarding city council procedures and real estate tax assessment. A couple of things it does. It sets up a process where an aggrieved person on a real estate assessment can be made to the assessor of real estate and have the right to a hearing before the city assessor and to apply for an appeal before the Board of Equalization. That's a very good thing, Mr. Chairman. The other thing it does, it allows the city council to choose a date and time to meet for its July organizational meeting following an election. And further, the bill authorizes an ordinance wherein the city is the recipient of money, funds, or grant to be passed upon one consideration of the city council instead of two, as required by other ordinances or resolutions that having effect currently. Shorten up the process for that. That is, as far as I know, the only changes that are in this, unless council has one that we haven't highlighted here.
Move to report.
All right, is there any discussion about the bill? Anyone would like to speak for the bill or against the bill? Seeing none, I got a motion to report and a second properly supporting it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, clerk open the roll.
Can I vote?
I got you, Emma.
Thank you.
13 ayes, 0 nays.
13 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 1396 reports. Oh, and we have the last bill. Senator Boysko, would you like to carry yours over to next week, or are you ready to go for it? All right, so we'll carry your bill over to next week.
This should be super easy.
Nothing in this committee today has been super easy. All right, Senator Boysko.
Thank you.
Last bill of the day, 1633. Ladies and gentlemen, please be reminded that Senator Boysko is a freshman as we question her about her bill.
Okay. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I have first an amendment to SB 1633.
Amendment.
Mr. Chairman?
Really?
Question of patron?
Sure. Senator Steph.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Boysko, will that amendment take this from similar to Senate Bill 1155 to the exact same as Senate Bill 1155?
Refresh your recollection, what is 1155?
This-
Your bill?
No, Senate Bill 1155, which we've already heard here, is the bill from Senator Black doing the same exact thing of screening from the view at ground level.
Mr. Chairman, this is a different bill.
It's not trash.
This is not a
We
trash bill.
got rid of the trash.
We trashed the trash bill.
Trashed
This is
it,
a different
trashed it,
bill.
trashed it.
This is dealing with local government revenues and the filing date required for localities.
There you go, all
Mr.
right.
Chairman, as I said, wasn't this, her last one, the same as Senator Black's bill?
Senator Boysko?
You were Senator
Mr.
Boysko.
Chairman, we trashed that bill.
Okay.
This bill deals with changing the date for localities to turn in their comparative report for local government revenues. And because that would affect our auditors, the auditors have requested that we change the date that they have to report as well. And so that is the nature of the amendment that I present.
Mr. Chairman, is this a complicated change from November 30th to December 15th? Or is there an
Senator
amendment to
Boysko?
December 15th?
Yeah, what's the amendment, DB?
In line 24, after.
Oh, we don't have the, you're doing it.
I have it in front of me.
Okay. Dave, do you know about this? Dave, did you know about this ahead of time? And you didn't share that with us? Don't you think it's proper protocol to share things like this with us? Specifically not protocol. Look at you. All right,
I
All right,
would-
Mr. Big Guy.
Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to read it to you. It's not very long.
Can you read it slowly and
Yes, sir.
in German?
No, sir.
Spanish?
Spanish? French?
French, yes.
French, all right.
Oui.
We'll take it in French. Yet.
Ligne 24 était introduite après cette année par éliminer janvier 31 et après février 15.
Mr. Chairman?
Stop. I'm enjoying this. Continue.
OK? Du, ligne 28, introduce après février, éliminer 1 et après 16.
Magnifique, everybody. Can we get it?
Merci beaucoup.
That is the most amazing thing I think I've seen here in local government.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to point out, Mr. Chairman, something you'll appreciate. That is a Hollins
That is
education.
a Hollins education, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Senator Boysko, you have made our Tuesday evening. We can't thank you enough for that, and you did a wonderful, masterful job. I have to listen to Senator McDougal try to speak French next to me when he's sitting in chamber, and it's awful. That was exactly why everybody should go to Paris.
Exactly.
So, all right, so
Mr.
you've heard the amendment.
We move the amendment.
Can you say that in French? Move l'amendement. Le second. There we go. All right, a motion to move the amendment, second properly supported. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Wait a minute. All in favor signify by saying oui. Oui. All opposed said nah. And the amendment is adopté. Well
Bien.
done, Boysko.
Très bien.
Oh, yes.
Mr.
All right.
Chairman,
Yes.
did you?
Senator Marsden.
Did you prepare a budget amendment for this?
Mr. Chairman and Mr. Marsden. Senator Marsden, excuse me.
Call me Mr.
Because we have adopted the amendment, there is no longer a fiscal impact. That was the reason that we did the amendment. That eliminates the fiscal impact.
Senator Marsden.
Can you prove that?
I have a witness with me here from the auditors.
Senator Boysko, what was the 11,004 that you had to change from 15 days, you know?
It would have caused the auditors to pay comp time to get everything done in a shorter amount of time because we were cutting off their work time by 2 weeks.
So your amendment is a cost-saving measure
It
for the good
is.
of the Commonwealth, is that correct? Okay. Is there any questions of Senator Boysko?
Mr. Chairman, is this her first bill that she'll
Senator
get
to
to
staff.
the floor? No? Never mind, in that case, move to
Oh,
report.
okay, all right. Tomorrow, oh, okay, all right. Hold on.
Mr. Chairman, call the pending question.
No, you have to have a second first.
I did second.
Oh, you second, all right, so the motion is to report with a second properly supported. Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, clerk, please open the roll. Wow. Maybe we should, clerk, maintain an open roll. And that bill is luckily at the last minute reported, Senate Bill 1633.
Merci beaucoup.
De nada. Thank you, Senator Boysko, for playing along. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that takes care of our docket. And with that, the awesome Committee on Local Government shall rise.